Warning. This video contains scenes depicting disturbing imagery, flashing lights, and intense gore. Viewer discretion is advised.
Being scared invokes a special feeling, a primal instinct of fight or flight. Thankfully, we as gamers have plenty of options to immerse ourselves within virtual nightmares.
Wealth Gaming presents a Spookfest production. Top 10 scariest games of all time.
Stalking its way into the number 10 spot, Clock Tower is often considered one of the most influential horror games of all time. Players take on the role of Jennifer Simpson, one of many orphans who become adopted by a wealthy family known as the Barrows. Upon arriving at their manor, you'll soon realize there is something seriously wrong happening. There is a maniacal killer on the loose, picking off the orphans one by one. The killer is none other than the infamous Scissor Man, a deformed child wielding a huge pair of scissors. The game is very cinematic for its time and features a chilling atmosphere, unique point-and-click gameplay, which was a fresh take for the Super Nintendo, and gameplay design that helped create an entire genre. You'll see borrowed elements from this game in popular titles such as Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Best of all, if you want to check this game out but want a more modern take, you'll be glad to know a new remake is in the works and is scheduled for a 2024 release. I'll include the link down in the description. Clock Tower is easily deserving of a spot on this list, and even still today, you'll find the game to be quite disturbing.
Corpses, lumbering, rotting cadavers. They are amongst us.
Creeping out of the shadows and into the number 9 spot, Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem is a game that will have you wondering if your GameCube has become possessed. This game is far from the scariest title on our list, but man does it love to mess with your head. Spanning across multiple millennia, this is a supernatural story for the ages and delves into both ancient and modern time periods. Revolving around ancient artifacts powered by gods, players will control multiple characters and unravel a mystery shrouded in eternal darkness. By far the most exciting and scary feature within the game is the revolutionary Sanity system, which you'll soon see its influence on future games within our list. As you encounter the game's numerous monsters, your sanity meter will begin to drain, and as it gets lower and lower, the mind-bending effects become more and more terrifying. Ranging from altered camera angles to even an effect that will distort your game, making it seem as if your GameCube is malfunctioned. It was awesome back in 2002, and it's still awesome today. As far as the gameplay is concerned, it's similar to Resident Evil's tank controls, but with a neat limb targeting system added in for extra gore. Also, did you know this marked Nintendo's first published game to be rated M for mature by the ESRB? Pretty badass. Not only is Eternal Darkness quite scary, it's also one of the best games on this list, rightfully earning its spot. Here's to hoping that one day we will finally see a sequel or remake, as the game absolutely deserves one. Now it's time to get into some real scary shit. Jump scaring into number 8 on our list, Dead Space is here to provide enough nightmare fuel to keep you awake for days. Taking the role of Isaac Clarke, an engineer, you are set on a mission to find your girlfriend, who went missing aboard the massive mining ship known as the USG Ishimura. Unfortunately for Isaac, it's been taken over by necromorphs. which are in my opinion some of the scariest designed enemies in all of gaming. I hate these things, especially the babies. Yeah, no thanks. Luckily for Isaac, they are a blast to kill as you can cut off their limbs in what can be described only as beautiful carnage. Seriously, they up the gore to 11 in Dead Space and it's bloody fun. You even have access to both stasis, which slows down time, and telekinesis, resulting in a creative yet disgustingly awesome killing spree. The game adopts the survival horror formula and features third-person gameplay reminiscent of Resident Evil, but adds some really unique refinements, such as the entire HUD being displayed within your suit. It adds a nice layer of extra immersion to what is already an extremely immersive game. Dead Space is filled with jump scares, disturbing imagery, and an overall sense of hopelessness and dread, especially when playing on higher difficulties. It's a delightful challenge that will keep you scavenging for ammo and push you to the absolute limit. The sequels are good fun, especially Dead Space 2, but the original game and the remake are the ones that in my opinion are the scariest in the franchise. When choosing between the recent remake or the original 2008 version of the game, you can't go wrong either way. Both are rock solid options and I highly recommend them both. Now get out there and kill some necromorphs before they kill you. Snapshotting its way into the unlucky number 7 spot on our list, Fatal Frame 3: The Tormented is a photogenic nightmare. There's something about Japanese horror, whether it's on film or within a video game, that shakes me to my core. This lesser-known franchise has produced some of the most disturbing games ever made. Having to choose just one entry from this franchise was not an easy task, as the original or Fatal Frame 2 could have easily made the cut. But it's the tragic story presented within the third entry that won me over. It's depressing and there are few moments of relief to be had. It's non-stop depression from start to finish. The story is centered around Ray, a quiet girl who is distraught with nightmares and guilt after surviving a car crash that killed her fiancé. Ray is haunted by nightmares that become more frequent and start to creep into her reality. During the day, you'll be within the confines of her apartment, but at night, you'll be transported into the twisting labyrinth of sheer angst known simply as the Manor of Sleep. Inside this manor lies many poor trapped souls who have each suffered in their own ways, including her once fiancé Yu. The gameplay consists of taking pictures of hostile spirits by capturing them at the perfect moments, which obviously is when they are right in front of your damn face. Take enough well-timed photos and you'll banish the spirit. It's pretty unique and feels like Pokemon Snap meets The Grudge. Fatal Frame 3 holds back no punches in its attempt to scare the living hell out of you, and frankly it does a great job doing so. Don't even get me started on the crawlspace ghost. That alone could be one of the scariest moments in gaming. Sounds like a good video idea. This game rightfully earns its spot on our list for its eerie demeanor, depressive nature, and just utterly terrifying ghost, and should be a must-play experience for fans of J-horror. Admitting itself into our number 6 spot, Outlast is a game that would likely find its way onto any Scariest Games list. Outlast has built a reputation for terrifying gamers since its release in 2013. Outlast follows investigative reporter Miles on his brave journey to document exactly what is going on inside Mount Massive Insane Asylum. Unfortunately for Miles, there's a sinister corporation conducting heinous acts against their patients. It's honestly a perfect setting for one of the scariest games on our list and one that gives me goosebumps every time I play it. Now, being a reporter, Miles isn't exactly Leon Kennedy or Chris Redfield, unable to truly defend himself from the many deranged lunatics lurking within the asylum. You want to try to fight back? Nope, not possible. Instead, you have to run and hide, hoping you don't get caught. It's what makes the game so damn scary. This game of cat and mouse is frantic and will get your heart racing every single time. Most of your time spent will be behind your faithful camcorder, recording evidence of Murkoff Corporation's inhumane crimes. The camcorder also acts as your night vision, and when it runs out of batteries, well, you guessed it, you're surrounded by darkness, which is usually crawling with spooks. Also, the batteries tend to drain faster than a Series X controller. It's some serious bullshit. As you progress deeper into the story, you'll uncover there is something sinister lurking within the asylum, and there's a neat twist revolving around the game's primary antagonist. It's honestly really cool. If you're looking for a game where you can't help but feel vulnerable at all times and a creepy setting to immerse yourself in, Outlast may be the perfect game for you. Also, the latest game in the franchise, Outlast Trials, is an excellent co-op horror game that you can have some fun getting scared alongside your friends. If you're interested in that, be sure to check out my video covering it. Now run and hide, because you never know who or what is lurking just around the corner. Few games strike fear into my heart as much as the number 5 entry on our list, Silent Hill. Growing up, Silent Hill was far scarier than any Resident Evil game to me. It's a timeless classic that still to this day can create some tense moments and give any scary game a run for its money in terms of atmospheric storytelling. The fog is the main character in the game. Not knowing what is waiting ahead creates a feeling of unease and anxiety that even upon replaying for the video I still felt. It also helped overcome the limitations of the PlayStation 1 and was a brilliant design decision. The story centers around Harry Mason, a man who is desperately searching for his missing daughter within the eerie town of Silent Hill. Harry soon realizes things are not as they seem within this town, and there's a sinister shroud encompassing every corner. There's a lot to unpack within the story, and with 5 different endings, a lot of replayability on offer as well. Like so many other games on our list, the gameplay is similar to Resident Evil, where you'll be trying to survive on limited resources, solve puzzles, and fight many different horrific monsters. Bit of a side note, it just shows you how influential Resident Evil was on this genre. It's simply amazing. Silent Hill 2, 3, and 4 are all solid games as well, but the original stands out to me due to its impressive design that was far ahead of its time. It's a mysterious game, and one that will keep you thinking throughout. Also, the school in this game is widely considered to be one of the scariest levels in gaming, period. The music in Silent Hill 1 and 2 are just so damn good and so fitting. I also want to mention PT, a demo designed to be a precursor to Silent Hills. Unfortunately, that's a canceled game within the franchise that still pisses me off that it never saw the light of day. Speaking of PT, you can actually download and play basically an exact version of the game recreated within Unreal Engine. So if you guys would like to see a playthrough of that, let me know down in the comments and I'll make it happen. Few games released before or after 1999 can recreate the same sense of sorrow and psychological stress this game inflicts on you, and that's a testament to just how well designed the game actually was. Here's to hoping Silent Hill F can get the franchise back on track, because the last couple of entries were pretty lackluster and disappointing, to say the least.
Hello, this is Wealth Gaming. I don't know if anyone will hear this, but I'm at Sevastopol Station and I need help. There's something here. It's killing everyone. Oh God, I think it's coming this way. Please send help immediately.
Sending a distress signal onto the number 4 spot, Alien Isolation is not only absolutely terrifying, but one of my all-time favorite games. Serving as a direct sequel to the original movies, players take on the role of Amanda Ripley, daughter of Ripley. Amanda is still searching for her mother, who went missing some 15 years prior and has now come across evidence that she may still be alive. Her search eventually leads her to Sevastopol Station in hopes of discovering exactly what happened to her mom. Upon arriving at the station, she soon comes to realize all hell is broken loose and something is hunting the passengers, killing them off one by one. In our previous entry, I said few games can match the atmosphere that Silent Hill provides. Well, this is one of those games. It's very similar to something like Outlast in the way it plays, except Amanda has a few tricks up her sleeve and can at least put up a little bit of a fight. I will say a common complaint in the game is that it starts off slow, and yes, this is true. You'll spend quite some time before even encountering the xenomorph, but when you do, oh boy, you're in for a real treat. Once this game gets going, it hits hard and often. Constant fear of being hunted is ever present, and if a rampaging Xeno wasn't enough of an issue, you'll also have to deal with rogue androids who possess superhuman capabilities. Alien Isolation absolutely oozes fanfare, and if you're a fan of the movies and have yet to play this game, please do yourself a favor and do so ASAP. It is, in my humble opinion, the best game adaptation of the films, and I hope one day we can see a sequel. That is, if one day Creative Assembly stops nickel and diming its fans over constant Total War DLC, but I digress. I even managed to complete the entire game on Nightmare difficulty, and it was one hell of an experience that I don't plan on ever subjecting myself to again. However, the thrills it provided were unparalleled and pushed me to the brink on more than one occasion. Intense, claustrophobic, and truly scary, this is a game that easily deserves its spot on our list, and one I hold in very high regards. There is no other game on this list more iconic or influential than Resident Evil. When deciding which game in the long-running franchise deserved a spot on this list, no other game stood out as more scary than our number 3 entry, Resident Evil 7. 7 was the first main game in the franchise to utilize a first-person perspective, which was a massive change in direction from the over-the-shoulder third-person gameplay we've all come to love. This was a risky move for Capcom, which paid off as not only did the game live up to the hype, it surpassed it, both in terms of playability and scare factor. Strangely, it's very reminiscent of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even more so than your typical Resident Evil title, which was such a breath of fresh air following a disappointing Resident Evil 6. The story follows Ethan Winters after receiving a cry for help by his wife Mia, who has been missing for over 3 years. This drives Ethan out to the Louisiana swamp to find her, and trust me, there's not a whole lot of good coming from these swamps. Little did Ethan know he was stumbling into a hell house filled with maniacal cannibals known as the Baker family. Every member of the Baker family is downright horrifying. Your encounters with them will be filled with overwhelming tension and fear. The game does a tremendous job of creating ample amounts of adrenaline-pumping chase scenes, and each safe room you come across is a giant relief, finally allowing you to catch your breath again. It's hands down one of the scariest games out there and still scares the crap out of me every playthrough. I actually hate some of the moments in this game for how piss-pants scared I get. Not cool, Capcom, not cool. And by the end of the game, how the story ties everything together to fit the Resident Evil lore is really neat and creative. It wouldn't surprise me at all if this game is at the top of someone else's list. It's that terrifying. If you're looking for a heart-pounding, non-stop thrill ride through a hell house like no other, this should be at the very top of your list of games to play. Just be sure to bring some toilet paper. You're going to need it.
Hello, gamer. Hopefully you're enjoying this ghoulish video. Don't forget to subscribe, as all month long we'll be celebrating Spookfest, filled with even more scary videos to satiate your inner demons. Now on to our top 2 entries on our list.
The runner-up on our list helped create a ton of YouTube channels as it took the internet by storm back in 2010. Coming in at number 2, Amnesia: The Dark Descent is not just a descent into darkness, but also one into sheer madness. When it comes to scary games, few live up to their reputation as much as The Dark Descent does. This Lovecraftian nightmare adopts the sanity mechanic from Eternal Darkness and utilizes it to the fullest extent. Standing in the dark or witnessing disturbing events will drain your sanity, altering your environment as you plunge deeper and deeper into madness. You'll begin to see things that may or may not actually be there, hear voices. Your camera will become distorted, invoking a sense of claustrophobia that results in a feeling of unescapable entrapment. Of course, there's also monsters present in the game that you'll have to run and hide from while being in the dark. However, as stated, being in the dark for too long results in low sanity, therefore creating a delightful balance. Scary is often subjective, and if you want the full experience this game has to offer, you need to approach it with an immersed mindset. Turn off the lights, put some headphones on, and truly invest yourself into the game, and if you do so, I can assure you that you'll slowly be pulled into its twisting nether. This is often one of those games where I find myself needing to step away from and take adequate breaks because its constant dreary nature would make even Poe feel at home. The story follows Daniel, who awakens without memory of recent events, and a note informing him to kill a man named Alexander. Equipped with his lantern, which happens to run out of oil far too often, Daniel explores a dark and mysterious castle filled with living nightmares, mind-bending puzzles, and a host of other supernatural presences. The game features 3 distinct endings and a custom story game mode filled with a ton of inventive community-made mods that add to the replayability substantially. There's one in particular aptly named The Prisoner that I highly recommend checking out. You'll hear people talk about this game as the scariest game ever made, and that's definitely an argument that can be made any day of the week. However, there's still one game I find to be even more horrific. But before we unveil the scariest game of all time, let's take a look at some honorable mentions that, while very scary on their own, didn't quite make the cut.
Honorable mentions.
A thing that should not be.
Don't move.
What?
Something behind you.
What the hell have you done to them?
Taking the crown for the scariest game of all time is none other than Visage. Visage is very similar to what PT could look like as a fully fledged game. It's a haunted house attraction that will keep you on the edge of your seat and scare the hell out of you over and over again. Unrelenting in its efforts to provoke constant anxiety and tension, Visage is on another level when it comes to scares. My time spent with the game had me literally shaking, and it's an experience I won't soon forget. After killing his family and himself, players control Dwayne, a man who is stuck inside a house tormented by demons and trapped spirits. This house has seen countless horrors unfold, as you'll soon find out. Each chapter represents a different family's experience, or should I say tragedy, within the household. Each individual story told within the game is downright disturbing and enough to rob you of any sleep you planned on getting at night after playing it. You're free to traverse any area of the house as you see fit, but a lot of places will be blocked off until you gain access to special keys or trigger certain events, very similar to PT in this regard. There's also a few tricky puzzles you'll need to solve and a lot of jump scares awaiting around every corner, but it's once again the atmosphere that steals the show here. Put simply, it's just depressing. The families each have a story to tell and suffered in tremendous ways. There's no comic relief or downtime either. It's overwhelming at times, to be completely honest. I want to talk about the sanity system within this game. Just like Eternal Darkness and Amnesia before it, Visage also employs one as well. Try to stay out of the dark as much as possible, because the lower your sanity becomes, the more frequent paranormal events begin to happen around you. These events are also dynamic, which adds nice flavor to the game. It keeps you guessing and keeps you on your toes. Now, there are a fair share of annoyances I have with the game itself, but that isn't the point of the video. It's certainly not the best game on our list, but it's absolutely the scariest. I dare you to play this game alone, in the dark with the volume cranked up. It's an experience that will test your fortitude, and one I'm looking forward to suffering through once again very soon. I can't wait to see what Sad Square Studio produces next, now that they should have access to a larger budget and get to learn from their previous mistakes. I'll be keeping a close eye on their next project, and we'll be sure to cover it as soon as there's an announcement. From what I know, it's a very small dev team, and considering what they managed to create here, it's even more impressive. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Did your favorite scary game make the list? If not, sound off in the comments and let me know which games you believe to be the scariest. This is just the beginning of Spookfest, and there's plenty of more scary videos on the way this month. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time on Wealth Gaming.